In today's video, we're going to talk about what exactly is a condo board package, what kind of documents are required, the timeline it takes to go through this step, and how the right of first refusal works. If you're not familiar with this term, don't worry, we'll get to this part shortly. At the end of this video, you will know what exactly to expect from a condo when you are at the stage of submitting your board package. We will also talk about the most important differences between a condo and a co-op board package. What is up, everyone? My name is Sargis and welcome to my channel. I'm a licensed real estate agent based here in New York City, and this channel is all about New York City real estate when it comes to buying, selling, or renting. This video is about condo board package, also known as purchase application. If we take a look at the step-by-step process when buying a condo, this would be the step 7. And by the way, if you want to see the details of each step, I'll put the link of that video in the description below. Now let's talk about the timeline first. When you have a signed contract, technically your agent can already start putting together your board package. And if you're financing the apartment, after signing the contract, you will work with your loan officer to finalize your mortgage application and get what's called a loan commitment letter. You will need this commitment letter in order to submit your board package. That's why it's important to start working on your board package right after you have a signed contract. That way you'll be ready to submit it as soon as you have the commitment letter from your lender. Now, every condo building is different. Some of them can have lengthy applications and the required documents can be very similar to what a typical co-op would ask you, and other buildings can have very short application with a few forms to fill out and sign. The major difference is that the purpose of a co-op board package is to qualify the buyers to make sure that they all meet the building's requirements and they are able to carry the apartment without any financial problems in the future. And a co-op board has a complete discretion when it comes to any resale or sublet in the building. They have the right to approve or reject any resale or sublet. With condos, the process is a little bit different. Condo boards cannot just reject the application. They have what's called a right of first refusal. This means that a condo board has the right to buy the apartment first with the same price and terms as you agreed with the seller. So if a co-op board can just reject the application, condo board has to buy the apartment if for some reason they don't want that specific resale to happen. When submitting a condo board package, most of the time buyers use the phrase getting the board approval, but technically you're not waiting to be approved or rejected. You are waiting for the condo board to waive its right of first refusal. And when you receive the waiver, that means that the condo board is not going to buy the apartment and you have a green light to proceed to the closing table. However, in reality, it is not common at all for condo boards to purchase a unit in the building. There are maybe a few known cases when the board actually exercised its right of first refusal and bought an apartment in the building, but it's very rare. For most part, this is just a formality and the process mostly has an administrative purpose. Which brings us to the first question you might be asking now. Why this right of first refusal even exists? Well, there are reasons. Right of first refusal can be exercised to control below market sales in the building, which hypothetically speaking can decrease the resale value of other comparable units in the building. Let's say we have a typical condo building and 2-bedroom apartments in this building sell for anywhere between $1.7 to $1.9 million. If someone is trying to sell his or her 2-bedroom apartment at a, let's say, half price or at a huge discount to a relative or a friend, condo board can exercise its right of first refusal, step in and buy the apartment with the same price that is written in the contract. In this case, if they buy the apartment with a huge discounted price, then the board can potentially sell it to an actual buyer with a real market price and generate an additional revenue for the building. The other reason why a condo board might want to exercise its right of first refusal and buy the apartment is if they need that apartment to turn it to something else, which can be a super's apartment, or they can add an additional common area or amenity in the building which will benefit the rest of the community. The reality is, it's not that simple for a condo board to exercise its right of first refusal. They have to go through certain procedure which, according to most condo bylaws, obtain approval from 2/3 of unit owners. And it can be very hard to organize such a big meeting in a short period of time and convince enough people to vote. And even if they do, they also need to be able to raise enough funds to actually buy the apartment. In addition, a quorum must be met as well, meaning enough people must be present to vote in order for the decision to be valid. So if your agent was able to negotiate a good deal, it is highly unlikely that the board will step in. As long as you submit all the necessary paperwork and complete the board package, you should get the waiver from the board and proceed to the closing table. But if the price is shockingly low, then yes, they might actually step in and buy the apartment. Which brings us to the next question. Since it's very hard for the board to exercise its right of first refusal, can you not even bother to complete the board package? Or maybe not provide them the required documents? And the answer is no. Every condo building has some sort of purchase application where you will see all the required documents that needs to be filled out and submitted. We'll talk about the actual documents a little bit later. Your board package needs to be complete in order for the board to review it. Basically, when you submit your board package, it will first be reviewed by the managing agent to make sure that everything is correct and nothing is missing. Then the managing agent will send your board package to the members of the board. Generally, it takes 5 to 10 days for the managing agent to review and send your package to the board, and according to most condo bylaws, the board has 30 days to either exercise its right of first refusal or to issue a waiver. And this is one of the other major differences between the process of buying a condo versus a co-op. Co-op boards don't have any specific time limit that they have to review and respond to your board package. Now, it's very important to have everything done correctly right off the bat and send a correct and complete board package. Because if your board package is missing something, the managing agent will return it to you, which will cause delays. And even worse, if an incorrect or incomplete package goes to the board, and let's say on the day 25 they notify you that you're missing some documents or something is not correct or they need some additional information, once you submit those documents, the 30-day period starts over again. This process is typical for a mid to large size building. Some small buildings that are self-managed and don't have a managing agent, your board package will go directly to the board. And usually in a small building, the review is a lot faster. But even in today's digital world, which makes a lot easier and faster to send and receive electronic documents, a lot of condos and co-ops still do require the purchasers to submit a hard copy of the whole board package, which can delay the process significantly if something is not right and the package gets returned back to you. Which brings us to the next question, which is, can a condo board deliberately delay the process and not let you buy in the building? And the answer is, in theory, yes. They can delay the process, which most of the time will frustrate the buyers and make them back out of the deal. Because every time they keep asking you for an additional information, the 30-day period starts over. The delays can be stressful for buyers. They can experience a disappointment, anxiety, which eventually will make them walk away from the deal. Now, this is just what can happen in theory. I am not an attorney and I'm not going to get into the legal consequences of the situation. If for some reason you find yourself in a similar situation, always consult with an attorney for legal advice. Generally, in practice, if everything is done correctly, there is nothing missing or there aren't any red flags in your application or any inconsistencies with the information you provided, you should be good and receive the waiver. Before we move on, if you're still here with me, it would help me a lot if you just like the video and subscribe to the channel in return of me spending hours on planning, filming, and editing those videos. Thank you for doing so. Now let's get back to the video. Now we're going to talk about the required documents in your board package. With condo buildings, the board packages vary a lot depending on the building. Some condo buildings might require as much information as a typical co-op would want to see, and for other condos, the board package is to fill out and sign a few basic forms and submit all the necessary checks. I'm going to show you what a typical lengthy condo board package might look like, which again sometimes can feel like you're buying a co-op. Usually it starts with a letter to the board. This is basically your introduction letter. Then you'll see a condo purchase application form followed by the financial statement forms. Condo purchase application form is similar to co-op and the financial statement form is the same. I also have a detailed breakdown of each section in those forms in my co-op board package video. So watch this video if you want to see the application and the financial statements in details. The link is in the description below. Then usually comes the contract of sale. After that, they might ask for an employment verification letter and a few personal and professional reference letters. You will also need to provide the documents for the verification of all your assets that you said you have in your financial statement forms. They might also require you to submit your tax returns, usually for the last 2 or 3 years. There might be a credit check authorization form as well, where you give your permission to them to perform a credit check on you. Depending on the building, you might see a few other forms to fill out and sign as well. And there is going to be additional paperwork if you're purchasing as a corporate entity, such as LLC, corporation, or partnership, or if you're titling the property in a trust. At the end, you will need to include your loan commitment letter as well. This is the time where you will need to submit all the necessary checks to pay the closing costs associated with the building. And here's a video if you're curious to know how much money you need to buy an apartment in New York City and what are the exact closing costs. The link is also in the description below. This was just a list of the required documents that you might see in a lengthy condo board package. Again, some condo board packages might feel like you're buying a co-op when you see all the required documentations. And other condos can just have a simple purchase application and a couple of forms to sign. And the other question you might have now is, what's the point for a condo to ask so much information from the buyer if they cannot just simply reject the application? So if you remember, condo boards don't qualify the buyers, but they can ask for information. They might want to know who exactly the buyer is. They might want to see the buyer's financial and credit profile. And again, they cannot just reject the application unless they buy the unit. If your application is incomplete or incorrect, your board package will be returned to you until you submit all the necessary documentation. So if that specific condo board package requires all of these, then you have to complete and submit all of these in order for them to review and issue you a waiver so you can proceed to the closing table. Home buying journey is not an easy process, and there are a lot of moving parts involved, especially here in New York City, where the majority of the market consists of co-ops, condos, and occasionally you might see the other type of property called a condo. I'm trying to provide you as much information as I can so you can be prepared and know what exactly to expect. But the best thing you can do, besides of course watching those videos and learning about the process, is to work with a competent agent. Since everyone's situation is different, you need someone who can guide you, answer your questions, and help you go through your home buying journey step by step. It's very important to understand that besides finding the right apartment, you also have to make sure that that specific apartment is in the right building. That's it for today. If you got any value from this video, it would help me a lot if you just tap that like button and subscribe to the channel. Also, you can see my email in the description of this video. I'm doing weekly 30-minute consultations. Feel free to reach out and schedule your time if you're thinking of buying, selling, or renting here in New York City, or if you just have questions regarding New York City real estate. And lastly, if you want to see what is the exact step-by-step process when buying a home in New York City, you can just click the video you'll see on your screen. Thanks for watching. Until next time.